It's Thursday, September 26, 2019, and this is Globespan 24x7 News. Good evening and thanks for joining us. My name is Shakimane, coming to you live from Georgetown, Guyana. Here are the major headlines for today. Elections will be held March 2nd, 2020, even without House extension. President Jack Dio on election state. We will believe when we see a signed proclamation. CPA says more than 2,000 cases of child abuse recorded so far this year. Bank of Guyana denies Republic Bank's application to buy out of Scotiabank Guyana. And men urged to get screened for breast cancer ahead of awareness launch. Over to you, Whitney.
Thank you, Samuel. Good evening, and let's take a look at regional and international headlines for today. CBG declines Republic Bank's application to buy out Scotiabank. U.S. nationwide debt toll due to vamping on the rise. Iran ready to accept changes in nuclear deal if the U.S. lifts its sanctions. And 30 killed in an illegal mine near Libyan border. Let's take a look at these stories and more in a little while. Here's Kingsley Bryan with sport headlines for today.
Thanks, Whitney. Here's a look at what's happening in the sporting arena. The Circle Tennis Revival program is slated for this weekend. And in CPL news, the Ghana Amazon Warriors cruised to 7th straight win. And internationally, England crushes USA to maintain their 100% start at the 2019 Rugby World Cup. That's all. We begin by telling you that the Federation of Independent Trade Unions of Guyana, in a statement issued on Thursday, has noted their disappointment with the President's address of Wednesday evening. The union noted that it was hopeful that President Granger would have brought an end to the constitutional dark clouds that are hovering over Guyana. In fact, the statement stated that the President's address did not, in any way, bring us any closer to constitutional compliance. Rather, we dismayingly saw a perpetuation of the charades that the coalition has been engaged in over the last 9 months. Fatal in the statement posited that the President's intimation of a tentative electoral date is practically an unheard of phenomenon and is now the latest ploy dispatched by the administration as it continues its disrespectful attitude towards the Constitution. The statement went on to note that with the President now soliciting parliamentary support regarding extending the life of his government, is a clear admission by the President that his administration stands on weak legal grounds, if any at all. It further added that the President's sentiments, of course, contradict what he and the other coalition officials have previously said on the matter. The statement concluded that the government is unfazed by the genuine and germane criticisms that has been leveled at it. It seems that the President and the Granger-led coalition government is prepared at all costs and consequences to continue to squat and usurp executive power, though it has legitimately lost its right to govern. As such, the umbrella body is urging the peace-loving and democratic forces to again retrieve the nation from undemocratic and illegal rule. And after mounting pressure to name an election, almost 1 week after a time frame was given by the Ghana Elections Commission, President David Granger announced last evening in an address to the nation that the earliest date for the holding and general regional elections will be March 2, 2020. Let's take a look.
I am pleased to announce that after discussions with the chairman of the Elections Commission and with my cabinet, the earliest possible date for the holding of general and regional elections will be on Monday, the 2nd of March 2020.
However, the statement led to widespread criticisms, especially since a proclamation, as is legally required before a date of elections, could be named. In an effort to bring some clarity to his statement, the President told media operatives today that elections will be held on the date that he announced in his address.
It will be held on the 2nd of March. That was the advice I received. I did not want to use perhaps more definitive terms because I expected that in accordance with the Constitution we should have to go to Parliament. If you don't If the opposition doesn't go to Parliament, well, we will abide by what I said last night. The election will be held on the 2nd of March. That's as definitive as I can get.
The president said he has met with the chair of the Ghana Elections Commission, and the commission has a work schedule that has to be designed and approved by the commission itself. He said he expects once the commission is given that approval, the other statutory requirements will be met.
So I was quite guarded in my remarks, but I was giving the commission the opportunity to publicize its own work schedule. It is not my duty or my intention to micromanage the process or to say things which the commission could implement. But what I said last night was quite accurate, that both the commission and the cabinet have considered the information as available, and it will be held on the 2nd of March 2020.
The Ghana Elections Commission is set to begin its claims and objections period starting October 1. Asked whether he is satisfied that the extended claims and objections period would produce a credible list of electors, the president had this to say.
I'm satisfied that the commission is confident that the extended claims and objections period would capture, would allow all of the electors to indicate whether there are any claims and objections. I am satisfied. That is the assurance that has been given by the chairman of the commission.
That was President David Granger speaking with members of the press earlier today at the sidelines of a small event held at the Cyril Potter College of Education. Meanwhile, opposition leader Barry Jagio says President David Granger's address to the nation last evening managed to cause panic and confusion among several pockets of the Guyanese society, as everyone was prepared to hear a date for elections. Instead, they were given an earliest date.
In having to announce a clear date for elections, that was all he was required to do on that night, last night. He left us wondering what he actually said. So this is the same president who was saying, I'm so anxious to have elections. I want to comply with the Constitution. I want to name an election date. But all that is required now is for GCOM to tell me when they'd be ready, and I shall name the date. And then last night, he did not actually name a date. I think he caused panic in the entire media community, including among his own staff.
The former Guyanese head of state says that President Granger did not proclaim a date, but gave a lengthy speech stating that March 2, 2020 is the earliest day for election. Jagdeo noted too that the president sought to link that date with the return to parliament by the parliamentary opposition to extend the life of government. He considers this a new condition that has no basis for a possible return.
So therein are several fallacies. One, there is no link to the extension of his life, the life of his government, which has been illegal since March 21st. He never sought that extension before. And the preparation of GCOM for elections. There is no link between that extension and GCOM's preparation for the elections, but he sought to create a link here. Secondly, the extension is wholly unnecessary for him to discharge the caretaker responsibility that had been accorded to him by the CCJ.
According to the political leader, given the government's interim or caretaker status, its only responsibility is to hold elections and deal with all the necessary with elections. Jagdeo feels that President Granger is seeking an extension not only to blackmail the PPP to go to parliament and vote to extend the life of government, but to allegedly cover up what alleged transgressions of theft and other misappropriations may have occurred.
They believe if we extend the life of the government, there will be no prosecution. There can't be prosecution because they'll have legal coverage for all the transfer of land and everything else that they did illegally in this period. And that's why they want to make the connection. But really, there is no necessity for it. It doesn't impact on the preparation at GCOM for the elections, nor is it necessary for him to conduct the elections, name the date, and dissolve Parliament.
Despite the President has stated that March 2, 2020 is the definitive date for elections, the PPPC General Secretary and Opposition Leader says given the President's history of flip-flopping, he will not believe that the date is set in stone unless there is proper evidence to prove that to be true.
We would not believe this until we see the signed proclamation that this will be the date for elections, because he's flip-flopped so many times that you never know if this is his final position.
Jagdeo went on to say a bit later that he would give the President the benefit of the doubt when it comes to the date he has proposed for election. The President last evening cited March 2, 2020 as the earliest date for general elections, but did not issue a proclamation as is legally required. Granger said that Parliament would meet on October 10 for the purpose of requesting an extension of the 3-month period for the holding of general elections. And still in the world of politics, former Speaker of the National Assembly, Ralph Ramkaran, says that President David Granger's sudden decision and call for an extension of Parliament is justified in the current circumstances because the time frame for the legal existence of the House of Assembly has expired, something he had previously denied.
Yes. He had previously denied that they are holding office illegally. Now, if he wants the opposition to return to Parliament, then clearly he is saying that he's conceding that Parliament is not in lawful existence at the present time, and it needs some act to be done for its existence to be made lawful. Mm-hmm. So they're saying all kinds of things, getting themselves in all kinds of twists and knots, which they're unable to get out of. But I think behind all of this is an effort to stay in power for as long as possible.
However, the parliamentary opposition has stood its grounds and remains strong on its position not to return to Parliament. In fact, opposition leader Barry Jagdeo has said his party will never move to extend what he labeled an illegal and unconstitutional coalition government. The PPP issued a statement last night accusing the president of trying to blackmail the opposition to return to Parliament. Ramkaran told Globespan 24x7 News in an exclusive interview today that given the opposition's strong position not to return to Parliament, the president is left with no choice but to call elections. The former House Speaker, in fact, feels strongly that a date has not been given by the president.
In those circumstances, the president will have to proceed and hold elections, as the international community has demanded that he do. The local international community, the Commonwealth and so on, have all demanded that he should proceed and hold elections. He has to do what is the next best thing. If he doesn't get approval of the Parliament, he should proceed and hold the elections. He can't not hold the elections because Parliament is not giving him the authority. So what, he stays in power forever?
A no-confidence motion was successfully passed against his government on December 18, 2018. And we tell you now that an autopsy conducted on the body of former chairman of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Hugh Denbo, who died on Monday evening, hours after his body was found in his North Sapphire home, listed the cause of death has manual strangulation. The autopsy was conducted by state pathologist Dr. Neil Singh. It was previously reported that Denbo was discovered by police lying in an unconscious state on the kitchen floor of its Lot 1 Area D Plantation Sapphire, Greater Georgetown home on Monday last. Information received revealed that the man who lived alone was bound by the neck, hands, and feet, while his entire house was ransacked. There are suspicions that he may have been in that position since Saturday, as he was last seen on Friday by residents in the area. The manager of Oranduke Development Inc., where Denbo was employed as an engineer, alerted the police after calls to his phone went unanswered. Police, along with the manager, ventured to his home and made the shocking discovery. Police stated that while there was no evidence of forced entry into the home, a southern door was discovered open. He was rushed to the Georgetown Hospital, where he received treatment, but subsequently died on Monday evening. Also, following an intensive and long overdue investigation, the Ministry of Social Protection, through its Department of Labor, has completed its report into the unjustified dismissal of 2 workers from the Frequency Management Unit over 2 decades ago. Here's more in this report. The 2 senior managers in the persons of Keith Griffith and Robert Ross had been dismissed in 1998 under questionable circumstances from the National Frequency Management Unit. Rather than seek redress through the courts, they appealed internally to President David Granger, who referred the matter to the subject ministry, which is the Ministry of Public Telecommunications. That ministry then collaborated with the Ministry of Social Protection to resolve the matter. Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Public Telecommunications, Derek Cummins, said the effort was a collaborative one.
Remind that this has been a collaborative effort among many agencies, including the started the Ministry of the Presidency, His Excellency himself, the Attorney General's Chambers, and the Telecoms Agency, which made the payout as a successor agency to the National Frequency Management Unit.
The report determined that, among other things, the men were dismissed due to managerial indecency. Advisor to the Minister, Francis Carroll, said the recommendations of the report will see justice being served, and this is the philosophy of the department.
But what we are concerned with is that the injustices which were inflicted on these men, they were really correct. We want to make the point, as I said earlier, that no matter how long it takes, as long as the Ministry of Social Protection is concerned, and once we are involved, we will take as much time. We don't want to take until the end of time, but as long we want to do a thorough job, we will ensure that any and every injustice is overturned. Because we operate on the philosophy that every act of injustice has a shelf life.
The complaint was formally filed in March of 2016, and despite facing numerous challenges in the conduct of their investigations, Carroll said the report recommended that the men must be adequately compensated.
No evidence was unearthed to justify or substantiate the actions taken against the employees. The Ministry of Social Protection in particular, in pursuit of justice, concluded that a grave wrong had been inflicted on the men, and therefore submitted and maintained that it should not be allowed to remain undisturbed. Hence, it was recommended that a certain course of action leading to the compensation of the ex-employees should be taken. That course of action was even endorsed by the Attorney General Chambers. Hence, the Ministry of Social Protection is delighted to announce that the recommendation has been implemented.
Due to privacy restrictions, the actual amount of compensation was not disclosed. The full report emanating from the investigation was officially handed over to the Ministry of Public Telecommunications on Thursday, September 26, in the boardroom at Colgreen House. For Globespan 24x7 News, this is Kingsley Bryan. Remember to like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel. for the latest news in Guyana, the Caribbean, and around the world. Join us after these messages for more news with Shakima Day.
We would like to ask all of our faithful viewers to kindly like and follow Globespan 24x7 Facebook page and subscribe to Globespan 24x7 YouTube channel to receive up-to-date notifications of when we are live. Globespan 24x7 has vacancies for full-time positions such as reporters, newscasters, and news editors. Persons serious about joining a new and dynamic news team are asked to send their application to careers@globespantechnology.com. TravelSpan is pleased to announce special fares from New York to Guyana for Christmas. Seats are available to travel, and depending on which dates you choose, fares range from $849 to $1169. These are limited block seats on American Airlines non-stop flight from JFK to Guyana. Call 718-845-0437. That's 718-845-0437. Or book online at travelspan.com. TravelSpan does have a payment plan, so travel plans, call TravelSpan.
Welcome back and thanks for staying tuned. Now for more news. Director of the Child Care Protection Agency, Anne Green, relayed that for the period January to August of this year, the agency recorded a whopping 2,532 cases of child abuse for 2019 so far. She was at the time delivering brief remarks at the opening ceremony for the Children and Family Care Center in Sophia earlier today.
Children still continue to be placed in positions to need out-of-home care. According to the data collected for the period January to August, there were 2,532 reported cases of child abuse, with a head count of 2,380 children. Out of this number, the Child Care and Protection Agency was forced to find alternative care for 102 children.
Director Green stated that the new facility, built at the cost of $250 million, aims to provide a safe environment for vulnerable children, along with their families, to prevent them from being separated.
The prevention of separation of children from their parents and disinstitutionalization of children are priority programs of the Ministry of Social Protection through the Child Care and Protection Agency. And having this type of resource, a holding facility for children and family, is making a serious effort in the prevention of unnecessary separation of children from families and to aid in the promotion of family-based care for children.
Meanwhile, President David Granger, in delivering his remarks at the event, stressed that adults have the collective duty to ensure that every child has a good and safe life.
Experiences in the child's formative years could impact on his or her development for the rest of their lives. Children who have unhappy childhood can be affected adversely for the remainder of their lives. Problems in early childhood are often difficult to reverse later in life. In fact, the influence of childhood and the experiences of childhood could be indelible. It is the view of my government that children have an absolute right to a happy childhood. Every child deserves a happy childhood. And we, the adults, have a collective duty to support children's enjoyment of that right.
The new Children and Family Care Center is a first stop for a child in different circumstances and will be accessible 24/7. Children on arrival to the center will be assessed to determine the care needed. After the assessment, if the need arises, family-based care such as kinship and foster care will be two of several options. The new facility has the capacity to house 8 children and is outfitted with 8 separate self-contained apartments for families. You'll hear now, Republic Bank's Chief Executive Officer Nigel Baptist has expressed disappointment over the fact that its plans to acquire Scotiabank's assets in Guyana was not approved by the authorities. Baptist was quoted in the Trinidad Newsday saying, "While this development is disappointing, we do not dwell on the disappointment. As a group, we remain fully engaged and committed to supporting the nation of Guyana through our operations there, as well as towards ensuring the success of all activities for which we have received the requisite regulatory approvals under the proposed BNS acquisitions." Guyana Central Bank recently denied the Republic Bank's Guyana application to buy out Canadian multinational bank Scotiabank's operations in Guyana. In denying the application, the central bank governor, Dr. Gobin Ganga, said decision makers took into consideration concerns about concentration and competition, which would have had negative impacts on the country's financial system. Guyana's finance ministry has revealed that Republic Bank's share of the banking system assets in Guyana stood at 35.4% and its deposits 36.8%. The purchase of Scotiabank's operations will see that grow to 51%. Last November, Republic Bank had announced its interest in acquiring Scotiabank's operations in several countries, including Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, Guyana, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Martin, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This is following Scotiabank's decision to leave the Caribbean nations. At the time, the local financial institutions were not informed of the decision. We'll tell you now that the Guyana Cancer Institute has issued a call for more men to take care of their health and get screened for breast cancer. This call was made as the Cancer Institute outlined plans to commemorate Breast Cancer Awareness Month 2019. We'll tell you more in this report. Breast Cancer Awareness Month, held each year in October, aims to celebrate the lives of those lost while also raising awareness of the disease worldwide. In commemoration of this, the Guyana Cancer Institute has planned several activities to bring awareness to the problem. Dr. Sayan Chakrabarti, Medical Director and Radiation Oncologist at the Cancer Institute, called on men to be wary that breast cancer not only affects women alone, but them also.
I'm talking about since 2006 because I've been coming, initially coming and then I joined it later on. I have seen a remarkable increase in the awareness and remarkable decrease in patients coming in late stages. Remarkable increase in patients coming for screening and remarkable decrease in patients coming in later stages, only because the society is more aware of these ailments.
Not only were the men encouraged to screen for breast cancer, but also for prostate cancer, another silent killer.
We men are very much egoistic, so we don't think that we might have cancer. Our body as a man is immune to cancer. Unfortunately, it's not so. One of the most common cancers in men in Guyana is prostate cancer. But fortunately, again, prostate cancer is a kind of cancer which can again be very effectively screened.
Meanwhile, Dr. Syed Ghazi, Medical Outreach Director, relayed that there has been a decrease in the number of patients being diagnosed with breast cancer, with the number dropping from 267 in 2015 to 110 in this year.
Men are not immune to cancer. They also have organs which are very much prone to cancer. As a part of the awareness team, I would also ask men to come forward for their prostate screening, for their colon screening, the colon cancer screening. These are the cancers which though are more common, but yes, they can be screened and they can be taken up at a really early stage. When they are taken up at a really early stage, they will give a very good result for treatment.
Dr. Ghazi disclosed that the Cancer Institute does not turn away patients who need immediate medical care because they don't have finances. He said all patients have a fair chance at quality health care. The director also encouraged the business community to join in the fight against breast cancer. For 2019, the Cancer Institute will be hosting their annual Cancer Awareness Walk along with a candlelight vigil on the 20th and 25th of October, respectively. For Globespan 24x7 News, Shakima Day. Meanwhile, 64 students graduated last evening from the Institute of Creative Arts. bringing the curtain down on yet another successful academic year. The ICA's 6th convocation ceremony was hosted last evening at the National Cultural Center, Homestretch Avenue, Georgetown. The ICA encompasses 4 artistic schools: the National School of Dance, E.R. Burroughs School of Art, the National School of Music, and the National School of Theatre Arts and Drama. The graduates from the aforementioned schools were all conferred with diplomas and certificates for their hard work during the period 2018-2019. Valedictorian awards were given out to the most deserving students from each of the 4 ICA schools. Delivering the feature address at the ceremony was Minister of Social Cohesion with responsibility for culture, youth, and sports, Dr. George Norton. Minister Norton underscored the importance of the artistic community as he reminisced on the satisfaction and pride he felt while attending the various functions during CariFesta 14, which was hosted in Trinidad and Tobago during August last. The minister posited that the graduation of the new batch of students delivers hope that Guyana's cultural and creative arts industries can only get better. October has been designated Agriculture Month, and the Ministry of Agriculture in Guyana has planned a packed calendar of activities in observance of this important sector. Minister of Agriculture Noel Holder, at the launching of the month's activities in the ministry's boardroom, stressed that agriculture remains a most important sector.
Significance of the agriculture sector to Guyana's economy cannot be overemphasized. Agriculture contributes 16.2% to the national gross domestic product. The relative share nationally of persons employed in agriculture is 17.8% of our working population, and approximately 26% of Guyana's export earnings come from agriculture. Furthermore, the sector is a significant contributor to our domestic food and nutrition security.
Holder further added that with Guyana's new status of an oil-producing state, continued focus will have to be placed on the agricultural sector to ensure its sustainability and development.
Guyana in 2020 is poised to be an oil-producing state. As a government, we will continue to promote and support the development of agriculture in Guyana. May it be through a shift from subsistence farming to market-led farming, through livelihood and income-generating opportunities, and/or the delivery of quality agricultural produce, products, and services for local consumption and export.
The minister noted that the ministry's mandate has been to ensure food security for all Guyanese, and this includes access to safe food throughout the country, with a view to maintaining a healthy and productive population. In this regard, Holder posited that the ministry is making significant strides in the regulation of the food ecosystem.
We've embarked on the authorization of the Food Safety Authority. The Food Safety Authority would assist in the prevention of foodborne diseases through the control of the production, preparation, handling, storage, and transportation of food. It will also coordinate and regulate the fragmented system for food safety in Guyana.
To this end, included in its calendar of activities, the Ministry of Agriculture will commission a new pesticides laboratory, in addition to a new water quality laboratory for hydrometeorological services. Apart from this, the ministry will host their annual activities that have become synonymous with the celebration of Agriculture Month 2019. Agriculture Month 2019 is being celebrated under the theme Sustainable Agriculture for ensuring food safety and a green economy. A 13-year-old girl from Poldrin was discovered hanging by a bedsheet in a room by her 8-year-old brother on Wednesday. She is suspected to have committed suicide. Ashrani Prasad of Lot 46 South Half, Belladam Poldrin, West Bank Demerara, was a student of Reading Hope Secondary School. Reports are that she was not attending school at the time of her death. Upon discovering her body, her little brother raised an alarm. Police ranks were summoned, and upon their arrival, they did not observe any visible marks of violence on the now dead teen's body. They subsequently removed Prasad's body from her home to transport to the West Demerara Regional Hospital, where she was pronounced dead on arrival. A post-mortem examination is due to take place soon. If you or anyone you know is considering suicide, please call Guyana Interagency Suicide Prevention Helpline on telephone numbers 223-0001 or 223-0009, or you can call 600-7896 or 623-4444. If you have any news story to share, don't hesitate to contact us on our Guyana WhatsApp number at 640-7615. Let's take a look at our bridge reports. We'll now take a short commercial break and be right back. Do stay tuned.
Amro's Travel Service is pleased to support Globespan 24x7 broadcasts. We provide travel solutions via our 4 locations in Trinidad. Chaguanas at 665-3383, Valpa 645-1604, Port of Spain 625-0800, and San Fernando at 652-4789. Remember, when you travel, Amro's is the way to go.
Welcome back. We will now join Whitney Prasad at our studio in New York for regional and international news.
The Central Bank of Guyana has officially denied Republic Bank's application for the purchase of the Bank of Nova Scotia BNS operations in South American country. A report stated that the CBG and by extension its governor, Dr. Gobin Ganga, alerted both financial institutions on the decision and its subsequent concerns. Guyana's Finance Minister Winston Jordan also received correspondence from the CBG on the decision and said that the government agreed on the proposed sale. It is not in its best interest of Guyana. Republic Bank's president and CEO Nigel Baptiste said that the decision was made based on the decline revolving around competition and concentration within Guyana's financial ecosystem, which he said is disheartening. Republic Bank had announced its interest in acquiring Scotiabank's operation late last year in several countries, including Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, Guyana, and other islands. Taking a look at what's happening in Trinidad and Tobago, the Finance Minister, Com Imbert, has said that the government expects Patriotic Energies and Technologies Limited to be able to restart the former Petro Trini refinery in less than 12 months, since it won't immediately have to raise its $700 million payment. In addition to this expectation, the government wants the industry to spend a realistic $500 million to refurbish the refinery in the first year of its revampment. Only last Friday, the government announced Patriotic was granted a 3-year moratorium on all payments of principal and interest towards refinery purchase and a further 10 years to complete the payment of the sum of $700 million. The minister said when the process begins, criteria for a lesser buyer includes that restarting of the refinery should occur within the first half of 2020, continuity of fuel support for Trinidad and Tobago, and other factors. Taking a look at what's happening in the United States, the alarming nationwide death toll due to vaping-related illnesses continues to climb and has since rose to 11 as United States lawmakers in Congress criticized against the Food and Drug Administration for its handling of the regulation of the e-cigarette industry. On Wednesday, the Georgia Department of Public Health announced the state's first death related to vaping-related lung disease. The Florida Department of Health also reported lung injury associated with e-cigarettes and 1 death to date. The CDC has confirmed 530 probable cases, which have been reported in 38 states and 1 U.S. territory. The FDA also said that it will be working along with the CDC in conducting a criminal investigation into the nationwide epidemic. Canada's Green Party is facing heavy criticism after editing an image of their party leader, Elizabeth May, holding a disposable cup. The issue is brought to light at a time when the world is working towards a greener earth due to the damning impacts of the climate change. May said in a statement Tuesday that she was completely shocked to find out that the party had doctored the picture. The original photo, which was taken last year at the Sydney Street Market in British Columbia, showed May holding an open disposable cup. The doctored photo shows May holding a reusable plastic cup with a lid and metal straw. The party leader argued that the photo was edited by a well-meaning party staff who wanted to brand the image with the party logo. She says she had nothing to hide in the original photo. And as we continue to follow what's happening in the United Kingdom, Parliament and angry lawmakers has accused Prime Minister Boris Johnson today of whipping up violence and division with his charged language about opponents of Brexit, and the Speaker of the House of Commons pleaded for an end to the toxic atmosphere. But government and Parliament remained at loggerheads as lawmakers rejected a request to adjourn for a week so that Johnson's Conservatives can attend the government party's annual conference. It was the latest sign of the mistrust and animosity that has consumed the British politics since the country narrowly voted in 2016 to leave the European Union. 3 years later, Britain and its politicians remain bitterly divided over how or whether to leave the 28-nation bloc. And Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan has said that he has been trying to raise the alarm at the United Nations this week about the danger of a nuclear war breaking out over Kashmir. India and Pakistan came close to a conflict in February when India bombed Pakistan territory for the first time in half a century, and warplanes from both countries fought a dogfight over the divided region. Tensions were diffused when Pakistan returned a drowned Indian pilot, but they have grown again since India revoked a constitutional clause that endowed semi-autonomous status of the part of Kashmir under its control in August. India moved hundreds of thousands of troops to the region and carried out thousands of arrests. And a landslide at an illegal gold mine in Chad has killed about 30 people, a government minister said on Thursday. The mine in a region near the Libyan border collapsed early on Tuesday, and more victims might still be buried in the rubble. This is according to the defense minister. The area witnessed rapid growth in illegal mining in recent years, often by refugees from Sudan looking for quick money and head to Europe, or by rebels fighting the army. Unsafe methods and a lack of oversight mean accidents are common at such mines in Africa, where impoverished communities seek a share of the vast resources that are usually dug up by international companies, processed and sent overseas. Last June, more than 40 people died when a part of the copper and cobalt mine collapsed in southeast Congo. And finally, in the world of news, Iran is willing to give reassurance on not seeking nuclear arms and accept changes to its 2015 nuclear accord with world power if the United States returns to the deal and lifts sanctions, a government spokesperson said on Wednesday. According to Ali Raibi, if the sanctions are ended and there is a return to the nuclear accord, there will be room for giving reassurances towards breaking the deadlock. And the President Hassan Rouhani has even proposed small changes for same. That's all for news today in the region and around the world. I'm Whitney Prasad. Thank you for watching. Let's join Samuel and our team in Guyana for more news to come.
Thank you, Whitney. Now let's take a look at what's happening in the world of sport with Kingsley Bryan.
Now here's a look at what's happening in the sporting arena. The Circle Tennis Revival program is slated for this weekend. We tell you that the revival effort of the national game of circle tennis in Guyana by Minister Dr. George Norton and Director of Sport Christopher Jones will kick off in Region 10, Linden, at the Wisberg Secondary School ground. The program, which is scheduled for one day, will be held on Saturday, September 28, commencing at 9:45 hours. Teams from Region 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, Georgetown and the host Region number 10 will be competing in this mixed program. The format of the program will be announced during the opening ceremony. Trophies and other prizes are at stake in this National Sports Commission-sponsored event. Minister Dr. George Norton, Director of Sport Christopher Jones, along with Assistant Director of Sport Melissa Dow Richardson, are expected to be present at the day's event. Sports official A. Munro is the organizer of the National Game of Circle Tennis program in Guyana. And now turning our attention to CPL news. The Warriors cruise to their 7th straight win. And we tell you that Brandon King's unbeaten 81 helped Guyana Amazon Warriors make it a magnificent 7 wins out of 7 to start their 2019 Hero Caribbean Premier League campaign with a comfortable 8-wicket victory over St. Lucia Zooks at the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground. The Warriors are assured of a top 2 finish and with it a place in the first qualifier, resulting in a place in the finals, with the safety net of a second chance should they lose that one. The Zooks remain 4th on the points table, but may need to win both their remaining matches to have a decent chance of staying there, giving the Tridents are just a point behind with 2 games in hand. The Warriors were given their ideal start to their pursuit of 162 for victory by Chandrapal Hemraj, who smashed 2 fours and 3 hero maximums in a 20-ball 33 that put Guyana ahead of the 8 and over required rate at the outset. When his wicket fell, King took up the charge, having been relatively quiet while Hemraj was doing his thing. All but one of King's 6s came after Hemraj had been dismissed, and despite the loss of Shimron Etimaya for just 5 to a caught-behind decision that displaced him, the Warriors reached the 10-over mark exactly halfway to the target at 81 for 2 with plenty of batting options still to come. They didn't need it. King and Shrub Malik, the skipper, who finished on 30, easing the Warriors past the target with almost 2 overs to spare with an unbroken 92-run stand for the 3rd wicket. After 12 overs, that required rate of 8.1 from the last 10 had come down to barely a run a ball, thanks to King. Suddenly, the target was a routine 49 from 48, and from there, it was a cruise for the table toppers. Malik stroking the winning single down the ground with a 10 balls to spare. And internationally, we tell you that England crushed the USA to maintain their 100% start at the Rugby World Cup. England cruised to a 45-7 victory over the USA on Thursday to maintain its 100% start at the 2019 Rugby World Cup. The 2003 champions simply outclassed its opponents in Kobe City, scoring 7 tries, with the Americans almost becoming the first team not to register a score at this year's tournament, until a late try from Bryce Campbell that put the USA on the scoreboard. To make matters worse, USA's John Quill picked up the tournament's first red card for a sickening tackle on Owen Farrell. Defeat for the Eagles means it waits for a first Rugby World Cup win since 2011 continues, while England has now won both of its games so far this tournament, after beating Tonga 35-3 in its opener on Sunday. Despite boasting a population of 330 million, men's rugby in the US is still on the rise, and its opening match in Japan demonstrates just how far there is to go before it can compete on the biggest stage. That's all for now in sports. Join us tomorrow for more action in the sporting arena. Back to you, Samuel.
And that has brought us to the end of today's news. But before you go, here's a recap of all major headlines. Elections will be held March 2, 2020, even without House extension. President Jack Leo on election date. We will believe when we see a signed proclamation. CPA says more than 2,000 cases of child abuse recorded so far this year. Bank of Guyana denies Republic Bank's application to buy out of Scotiabank Guyana. And men urged to get screened for breast cancer ahead of awareness launch. Thank you for watching Globespan 24/7 News. On behalf of myself, Shakima Day, and the team, until next time, do have a great evening.